I recently reviewed the Mielux CG5002 coffee machine, which I think is great for its price. One of my viewers also bought the CG5002 grinder from the same factory and sent it to me for testing. Is it as good as the EM3801? I got this grinder from one of my viewers, so this isn't the first time this grinder has been unboxed. The set includes the grinder, a portafilter stand, a container for ground coffee, a cleaning brush, and of course the user manual. This grinder was probably intended for some Asian market, I suspect Vietnamese, due to its packaging and the language of the user manual. This is a grinder with a container for coffee beans, which means that it is recommended if you prepare a lot of espresso per day. Otherwise, it is definitely better to look for a single dose grinder, because storing coffee in such containers for a long time is not a good idea. Of course, it does not have a bellows as it is not a single dose grinder. The bean container has a volume that can hold approximately 250 grams of beans. The grinder housing is made mostly of stainless steel. The portafilter holder is also stainless steel. The grinder base, front panel, beans and ground coffee containers are plastic. Unfortunately, the inside of the grinder where the burrs are is also made of plastic. The grinder is equipped with 40mm conical burrs made of stainless steel. Their construction is similar to that of espresso machines with a built-in grinder. The upper burrs are easy to dismantle for cleaning. It is a very simple design which makes it easy to clean this grinder. Unfortunately, it does not have a plasma generator, which makes it very static. Retention is high, at around 1.5 to 2 grams. However, this is a fairly standard result for this type of grinder. The grind adjustment is stepped. There are 30 grind levels available. Unfortunately, the adjustment is very difficult to set. You have to use a lot of force. This can cause the coffee container to crack after some time. The grinder has two modes: grinding a large amount into the ground coffee container, grinding into the portafilter, and X2. For each mode, you can program the grinding time. In the case of the grinding into the container program, you choose the number of cups, from 2 to 14, with adjustment in 2 steps. Every 2 cups is actually 6 seconds of grinding. In the case of the other modes, you program the seconds, with adjustment in half a second. In the grinding into the portafilter mode, it is from 5 to 15 seconds, and in the X2 mode, it is from 14 to 28 seconds. Let's see how this grinder works with espresso. Initially, I placed the portafilter in the grinder, but during the grinding, it made a huge mess around. I have the impression that the design is not entirely correct, so the ground coffee ends up outside the portafilter. I made further attempts using my dosing cup. This one does not fit perfectly, but it is better than mess. The grinding is not very loud, I think quite standard for conical grinders. The motor speed is 500 RPM, the same as my current conical grinder. Unfortunately, even at the 0 level, I could not get a fine enough grind for espresso. My darker roasted beans are not the freshest, but I had no problem with them on another grinder. At the 0 level, I managed to get an extraction time of 21 seconds with a 5-second pre-infusion. During the extraction, I had a lot of spattering and the flow was definitely too fast. Although the extraction is not very good, I managed to extract some crema. As for the taste, it is expected. Quite sour, not very intense, a bit watery. I think if I could grind it finer, it would be better. It's probably possible to adjust the burrs, but I didn't want to do that in this case, since it wasn't my grinder. Unfortunately, the CG5002 grinder doesn't seem to be a best choice even at its price. The design of the grinder is not the ugliest, but it has a lot of drawbacks, such as difficult grind adjustment or coffee spilling out of the portafilter during grinding. What is your experience with cheap grinders? Maybe you also have this grinder? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching. See you soon.